Hey, what's up, y'all? This is Faith Over Fear Fridays, and this is an episode of why I never quit. You know, on making art, and excuse me. I think that we always come into a point where we want to like quit, or we experience burnout, or just life be life. And but the moment I feel like giving up, art. Wow, that rain is pouring. It was probably because well, it's too many reasons to name a few, but I'll just start with one of them. Um, I did talk about this incident where, I was attacked and I was carjacked. And it was a moment where me being a full time entrepreneur, everything that comes in matters. Everything that I do has to actually count for something. And when it happened, I felt like I had to start fresh. I felt like I had no room or no way to be able to make my art because my laptop was in the car. My artwork that I've already did and worked on was in the car. People who've already purchased my artwork or I've done a commission for. I was at an event where the artwork was supposed to be on display and didn't have it anymore. And that really had me worried because I'm like, yo, how am I gonna replace this? And all the things that you can imagine. And what kept me going was, getting past the hurt, getting past the pain, and really just knowing that I had to keep going. My sister, she told me, like, look, you got this workshop 4 days coming up. You got to do it. You know, I mean, I know it's embarrassing looking the way you look because I had a bandage over top of my head, but I didn't want to speak to those kids at Morgan State University, let alone it was a mix of kids at Morgan State University and it was kids in the community in Park Heights. And when I showed up, I poured my heart out. You know what I mean? It wasn't even like strenuous. It was very genuine. And months down the line, after everything was good, things kind of cleared up. I was in these random spaces when I kept running into the same student, or what I want to say is one of the same kids that actually is from the neighborhood, kept running into me in the most random moments. It was one time I was at like this I want to say they sell like Korean food. He was there with his lady, and it was another time I was running to the store because I was about to get my internet installed, so I had to hurry and run to the store. And when I was running to get me, I used to drink Celsiuses all the time. I stopped drinking them. I don't remember the last time I had one, but I was running to get a Celsius, and I see this group of people, and they were at this banquet hall, outside this banquet hall, and he was there. And he was like, hey man, if you don't mind, I want to introduce you to my family. And I always told him about you, how during the workshop you had just went through what you went through, and how you kind of allowed us to see art in a different way. And had I not shown up, he would have not had that story. So the mental and emotional exhaustion that comes with you having to continue to push forward, it is real. I'm not trying to be on here and saying like, yo, like you just gotta keep going, and the fairy godmother is just gonna wave her magic wand and everything is gonna be okay. No, it really hurts. And then if you're not careful, comparison can kind of creep in, and rejection can creep in. And when you have both of those things, it's kind of hard. And I understand it's kind of hard for you to bounce back. So I don't want to kind of like, you know, just dismiss that. But I do want to encourage you that, when you don't see it, when you don't see why you should keep going, sometimes, the things work together for the good in the unseen. And, it was just a lot of things that happened over the years that I just was like, oh, why? You know what? I'm glad I kept going, because had I not, pretty much used, um, with me, I feel like the purpose was bigger than the pain. And I remember my sister had asked me, because I was like, yo, like, she's, how you doing? How you feeling? And, And I was like, yo, you know what I realized, Keela? I said, when I moved into my new space after the thing had happened, and I'm looking at my new place where I was living, where I'm currently living right now, that's when I finally cried. But I noticed that when the incident had happened, I didn't necessarily cry because I kept my mind busy. So the purpose was always bigger than the pain. And because people that was watching needed my courage. They needed my courage. They needed, I came there and I was talking with them and, not knowing that I was going to share the things that I've shared, but that didn't start with that. But I had to let them know that, like, yo, it's literally a miracle that I'm here. And I told her what had happened. I said, an hour before I pulled up, it was a guy who was shot, from, so the circumstances that I went and I endured, I mean, I took a blow to the head with the butt of the gun, but I was still able to. I'm not sure if that man is living or not, but he was shot. And it was an incident that just had occurred about 2 weeks ago. My barber, his name was Ty. My barber, I had just got reacquainted with this. I mean, I just kind of connected with this barber. Shout out to Kara. She had connected me with this barber, and I've been going to him for about a year. About a couple of weeks ago, and it's still fresh, these individuals attempted to take his Hellcat vehicle, and he fought them off, or attempted. He tried to fight them off, and they shot him in the head 3 times. And I think about, all these other incidences. They was attempting to carjack him, and he's no longer here with us. So while I'm giving this talk to you guys, I don't take it lightly that it's a miracle that I'm here, because when they cracked down on some of the cases, they talked about how a percentage of the people and the victims were actually ran over or shot. And when I talk about using that pain and making it into purpose, when I spoke to the kids at Cleveland, Ohio, teenagers that was probably about the same age of the individuals who was involved in the incident with me, I looked at it as God, like, yeah, look, you was that teenager that was doing the same thing. And now I got you talking to teenagers and telling them and sharing with them your story and to make impact. Because most people was telling me, like, yo, you need to relocate, you need to do this, that, and third. But I'm not saying that I'm just a savior. But what I'm saying is that I'm attempting to, if it's not even in Baltimore, I'm attempting to go to different other places to show people, show young men that we can do other things than what's in front of us. The world is bigger than the street corner. That was said by Leon Farouk. Because, I've already have survived worse. Even prior to the incident, there was many things that I've survived. Homelessness, not being able to see your family when you wanted to, you know, somewhat of child hunger, you know what I mean? It was sometimes that my mother, we had it like that, but sometimes we didn't. And I think that answer the prayers that were, these are prayers that are answered from my mother and my father and all the ancestors that came before me of what I'm living in now. And it's our responsibility to be able to reach back and also talk about and teach every individual that we can, or share with them our testimony. You know what I'm saying? So I actually wanted to wanted this to be very short, but of course, me, I'm always maxing out. But let me know your thoughts. This will conclude Faith Over Fear Fridays. But I do want to encourage someone that if you're walking through something right now, and you feel like you've got every reason to quit, um, I just hope that the story resonates with you. And I hope that the story reminds you that you always need to tap into one of the reasons why you started. And sometimes faith isn't loud. Sometimes, it's just the decision to just keep going and see what's on the other side of that fence that life or your situation has built. What's on the other side of that? What's on the other side of fear? What's on the other side of, doubt? What's on the other side of the humility? What's on the other side? That's what I wanted to know when I stopped drinking in 2019. What's on the other side? What does Akio look like that don't necessarily need the substance to be able to communicate when I'm out and about? Because every time I needed to be out and about, I had to have a drink. And I do believe in winding down. But when I was starting to teach at the enrichment programs, after school programs, I found myself, working my shifts at jobs, teaching part time when I got off of work, and then going home to try to do the artwork and do my gift. And I was rushing to do my gift because I wanted to have a drink. And then when I did my gift while I was drinking, it never was really fully me. Now, some people are different. Some people, y'all be beasts. Y'all can do it all. But for me, it no longer served me. So find out what actually serves you. If it no longer serves, I need you to cut it. And sometimes we have to also take a step back and serve, even when it feels like we shouldn't. We got to keep going. You know what I mean? Thank y'all for tapping in. That concludes this episode. Catch y'all tomorrow. Peace.